Geiger Boy, here we go. Going to give you a quick tutorial on this RetroArch with a front end of LaunchBox for my emulators. So what I have here in the foreground, the blue screen, is RetroArch. I'm not going to go over too much on it, but just give you a quick rundown, because once you download it and install it, you got a few upfront setup items you have to do, and once you have it set up, you never have to use it again. But basically, instead of calling them emulators, they call them cores. And what you'll do the first time, there's nothing installed on it. Let me click on the screen here, see if I can navigate through it. So say for instance, I'll go to Online Updater and then Core Updater, and here's where you'll select which emulators you want to install. Like I said, when you first download this, this whole list is populated, but there's nothing actually downloaded. So you don't have to go to any external websites. It'll just come down through this drop list, and like this PSP one. I don't have this right now, but I think it's one of the ones you use. So if I want to use this going forward, I'll just come in here and click X on that. It'll download it automatically from their website and install it in the folder I need it in. I don't have to do anything further for that. So just do that for any system that you want to emulate. The help video I'll try to find for you on YouTube. It'll show you how to do the other configuration things you want to do. Like you want to set it to full screen. I got it to a window mode right now just so I can record it on this video and show you. But you set up the full screen display, you download your cores or your emulators, and then you configure your controller. And I don't really think there was too much more than that, if there's anything at all. Like I said, I haven't touched this since the day I installed it. I did my one-time setup and I don't have to use it anymore. Now a lot of people just use this, they don't use LaunchBox. So you can come over here and see where I was testing it when I first installed it, and you see it has a list of all my games for my Super Nintendo here, and then for my PlayStation when I was testing it, the games are listed there. So you can just use this if you want. I don't like this list view thing. What I like is, I'm going to minimize this now and come over to LaunchBox, and that's what you see here on this screen is LaunchBox, and I like it because it has this really user-friendly display where it has the box art for each game. So what I did is I downloaded all my ROMs and I put them into subfolders under this ROMs folder. So I got a ROMs folder and then a subfolder for each system that I'm emulating. So if I wanted to do PSP, I would just add a new folder, put the PSP ROMs there. But at any rate, once you have your ROMs, you go into that folder and then just like highlight them all and then do a drag and drop over to LaunchBox. And when you do that, it opens up the import wizard for LaunchBox, and the import wizard will guide you through importing your games to LaunchBox. Now during that import, it sounds like it moves the games. You actually have the option to tell it to use the games in the current directory, or you can actually move them to a LaunchBox subfolder. I already organized all my stuff, so I just kept it in the same directory, but it'll ask you which emulator you want to associate your games with, and you want to always choose RetroArch, because when you launch the game from LaunchBox, it's going to then launch RetroArch, which will run the correct emulator automatically within the RetroArch framework, so you don't have to worry about messing with anything. So just for an example, I'll show you here. Let's say I want to play a Nintendo game, Crash and the Boys. I have all games selected over here on the left. I could break it down based on the system if I want to look at 64 games, Nintendo, whatever. So I'm in Nintendo now. I'll just actually type in Crash and the Boys. I mean, I could scroll down through here and find it in alphabetical order, but it'd be real simple for me, obviously, to come up here and just type in Crash. And you don't have to hit enter or nothing, it just automatically updates itself. I'll just double click that guy, and then it should open up that, and you probably can't see it right now because it opened up in full screen, so you can probably just hear the music, but it's playing Crash and the Boys. So, and I don't know, I haven't messed around with it enough for me to even know. Okay, so I've hit F1, you probably still can't see what I'm doing. I'm trying to see if I can get this out of full window here. Give me 1 second. Video, use full screen off. There we go. So now I hit F1 again to get back out of the menu. So you can see it opened up the game here. You can hit F1 to get into the RetroArch menu. So if you see the title bar, you can see, even though I opened this with LaunchBox, it opened up RetroArch and is playing on Nestopia for my Nintendo games. So I'm going to close that, and I'll just do the same thing. I'll come over to PlayStation, clear out this search window. That's why it's not showing any games. And I've been playing Origins lately, so I'll double click Origins. It went to full screen, so I'll hit F1 to get into my RetroArch settings and go down to my video settings just to to window mode it, just so you can see, because I don't think Snagit is recording that right now. Give me a second here. Not paying attention to what I'm doing. There we go. Windowed full screen mode off. Okay. Oh, that's actually the wrong button. Here we go. Sorry. Alright, so there. Then I'll hit F1 to go back to my gameplay. You'll see there's that sweet, sweet PlayStation music. Top left-hand corner, you can see that it's playing in RetroArch using the MADEN PlayStation emulator. Never heard of it before, but there's only a couple PlayStation emulators in RetroArch, and this is the one that was recommended, and it's worked flawlessly. I didn't have to do any setting changes at all whatsoever. It worked straight out of the box. So one disclaimer to that I'll give you is the very first time I tried to launch a PlayStation game from RetroArch, or I'm sorry, from LaunchBox, it opened up RetroArch, but it was just stuck at a black screen. It never even did that little white screen with the orange diamond load in. And I was banging my head against the wall and getting on forums trying to figure out why, and it seemed like no one could figure it out, or they had a similar issue and they fixed it with something else, and they were saying to change the BIOS, like the BIOS that come with it, or the European ones, and you have to rename them to be the USA ones. It's all garbage. I went into my RetroArch settings for my PlayStation emulator, and the path folder that points to the BIOS was just wrong. So I just pointed it to the correct folder that had my BIOS in it. I didn't have to do anything to the actual BIOS files. They all worked right out of the box. So if you have that problem, if you try this out, just let me know. I'll give you a hand. I'll let you know exactly what I did. I'll have to go back and do it again to figure it out. But yeah, once I have it working, you can see it works great here. Now, I've been playing this, so I'm sure you're familiar with save states and load states. I'll just hit F4 to load my last state, and boom, there you can see I've been playing my Final Fantasy 1. And just back out of that menu and just show you there that it works just fine. So, and I can play this full screen. This is a 37-inch monitor. I have this in window mode again, so my screen capturing software can record this. But I play this full screen, and it works just fine. And it's sounding laggy like that because I got it in that window mode. But I'll close that out and just show you one more here, maybe like a Genesis game. Just come down in here to, I don't know, General Chaos. I've never played Sega on this yet, so first time here, double click that guy. And again, I'll hit F1 to get to my menu so I can take it out of full screen mode. Oh. There we go. Then I'll hit F1 to go back to the game. So there you go. General Chaos playing in RetroArch on Genesis plus GX. And that's why it sounded choppy, is because I got this in window mode, and I'm recording this at the same time, so that's funny. But everything works flawlessly when you're actually playing it. Close that guy out. Now, the one thing I'll tell you is these screen backgrounds I have right here, the Sega Genesis controller, or my Nintendo. If I click on a Nintendo game, you'll see my Nintendo controller in the background. PlayStation, you'll see I have the system in the background. Super Nintendo has the controller for the Super Nintendo, and same thing for the 64, I believe. I had to do that customly. Usually when you click on one of these games, it'll show one of the fan arts or something like that in the background. I didn't like it because it was inconsistent. What I did is I went and downloaded the picture you're seeing in the background for like the 64, and I made a copy of it named after every single game, which that's tedious when you got I got 2,640 games, so it'd be real tedious to make manually 2,600 copies of the same image file and then have to rename them after every game. So what I did is I created a batch script to basically do that. I'd put the files in the folder and then tell it to go in there and rename it after each one of the games. So if you get nerdy to the point where you want something like that, you can hit me up. I can help you out with that script as well. But otherwise, like I said, it'll show fan art from whatever game you have selected. And on the all screen, this Nintendo controller with the rainbow background, that's just my current desktop is the reason why it's showing that. So that's when you don't have a game selected. So there you go. Okay, I guess the other thing I wanted to point out is the reason why I found this really appealing using this LaunchBox thing is I use an application called Plex. We started using it when we lived in Ohio for our movies. So Plex is really cool. It's a media server, so I have a hard drive here on my computer I'm sitting at, and I have all our movies in a folder, and then I have Plex running on this computer, and it knows where all those movies are at. So you can come in here and see, it looks just like LaunchBox does, how it has poster art for all these movies. I can click on, tells me all the information. Then I can play it right here if I want to. But the cool thing is that I also have Plex app on my phone. So I can go anywhere that has access to my Wi-Fi, and I can play any of these movies on my phone. And then if I have a Chromecast on those televisions I'm nearby, I can stream it to the TV, or my living room TV and my bedroom TV are Vizios, which already have Wi-Fi enabled inside of them, and they have a Plex app on Vizio, so I can use my actual remote control and just play anything that's on my computer from my bedroom on the TVs using Plex. So that's kind of what appealed me to LaunchBox, is it had the same layout, design, and look and everything. And I should be able to, if I right click on these games, I should be able to go to like I thought there was a detail, yeah, show details. And if there's any information on it, I don't think this is actual information about the game itself. I mean, it shows you the region, all that, how many times you played it, last time you played it. And there's a thing you can go in here and check it off to see, say if you've beaten it or whatever. And you can see how it's showing the fan art is this controller. That's because, like I said, I manually downloaded that picture and renamed a copy for every game. So there's a GoldenEye, or a 007 GoldenEye .jpg that is actually this picture, so that's why it's showing that. So, and you can actually change through the pictures and stuff too. So there's a lot you can do. It's a cool app, man. So if you plan on doing a lot of emulating across multiple platforms, I highly suggest it. If you're going to emulate on one platform, I don't know, it might just be easier for you to just use that direct emulator. It's personal preference, but I really do like this. I keep this running in the background all the time whenever I have my computer on, and if I get a few minutes, I'll just come over and just launch my game, and then I'll hit my F4 and go right at it, man. So it's super easy. You got a one-time setup. It'll take you maybe a day to get your setup and get used to it. I mean, not like a full 24 hours, but just the first day you get your thing set up. I don't know, if you have questions, man, just hit me up and you can play around with this, show how big your file sizes are and stuff in here if you want to see more or less. It's really cool, man. Give it a shot. Alright, so now I'm going to